I've got a question for you. What happens when a passionate boutique synthesizer manufacturer gets the crazy inspiration to make an Oberheim SEM in 5U modular form? Well, this happens. Well, greetings, Earthlings. I hope everyone is doing very, very well. I know I am, because I'm about to give you the overview of the muSonics vanilla synthesizer. This is the very first module off the assembly line, and I'm very, very happy to have it. It's a mission by an honorary madman who has for decades now made modular synthesizers and is very passionate and brought this project to fruition through much blood, much sweat, and many tears. And I am happy to talk about it here with you. What do we have here? This is an all self-contained unit from muSonics. As you can see, all of the logos match identically. Just kidding. And this is an all-in-one unit devised to effectively pay tribute, homage, what have you, to the Oberheim SEM and 2Voice Pro. What we have from left to right is basically an overview of a SEM. We have modules that can interconnect, and we even have modules that are normaled and patched together just like the SEM was. So you don't have to patch too many things in order to get going. On the left-hand side, we have the control distributor, Japanese modulation, which is an MS-20 LFO section with wave shaping. The vanilla modulation, which is actually the LFO out of a SEM, as well as sample hold and exponential glide. We have two wonderful oscillators called the vanilla oscillators. We have the filter called the vanilla filter with 3 audio inputs to the mixer, control inputs, and filter outputs, high pass, band pass, notch, and low pass. 2 envelopes with each with a VCA built in, so you can patch the signal in, and I'll show you that in a second. And finally, the mixer stage, 3 input mixer and an attenuator on the outside. As you can see, this is actually cycling already. And the reason it's cycling is because I've got an external sequencer gating the input up here to the rate, stop, and start. That gate is actually normaled behind the panel to these 2 envelopes. So it triggers it with every gate input there. Of course, you could have multiple gate inputs and it would trigger them as well. This one is the pitch input, and this one is normaled to the 2 oscillators and the filter. So the filter's second input so that it tracks the filter. In a normal configuration, as simple as it can get, that's what you get with these pre-patched configurations. I love it because it means less patch cables and less thinking. If you're patching it in a normal monosynth way, I think that'll make you happy. You can see that it's gating, and the gates light up by LEDs, and we're going to get some things going here. Let's make a patch and hear some raw output. It's going to get loud, so turn your speakers down accordingly. Let's just check out. The oscillators are the same with the exception of sync. So I'm going to play the second oscillator. This is a sawtooth wave. A little sequence going here. Sawtooth wave, straight into here. Now, as I said before, the mixer section is quite important. And the reason it's important is because this is effectively an attenuator to go from full to nothing. And then these here are set up to create quite a bit of gain and eventually distortion. You can see it right here around off the sawtooth wave. It's not clipping anywhere in the signal other than inside the mixer here. I believe that was about a quarter wave. Boring. Let's hear the sawtooth wave. I'm sorry, the square wave. We have the square wave going here, and we have pulse width. We can make it disappear if we're lucky. Both sides. One of the other things is that this is a range on the oscillator coarse tuning, of course. I don't know, about an octave and a half, something like that. Tune it up. So let's patch together a synthesizer in a mono synth patch, something that I would make. Typically, you go out of an oscillator and, of course, into a filter, and then out of the filter, let's say low pass, straight in to the mixer. Let's hear that. Raw sawtooth, straight in. And you can hear that wonderful SEM filter with full resonance. One of the things that he made was the ingenious idea of having multiple stages of overdrive and distortion. Of course, in a mixer you get lots of hot signals, so you can crank this up quite a bit before it clips and overdrives. It becomes a square wave. But you can hear this filter really sing. That's with a single input. Let's put the second oscillator in. Two oscillators, of course, you have to bring the gain down. Or maybe you don't. Let's reverse these here before I get confused. And if you wanted to have a third output, you could certainly put a square wave into here. Of course, you can do fun stuff to keep it simple and cross-modulate them, or FM modulate. Here's the frequency modulation input, raw oscillators. So here's saw wave. That's fun, and then of course you sync it so that it stays in tune. Now, because we are triggering these envelopes, normally we would go into a VCA and then out of the VCA into the mixer and then have the envelope control the VCA. But in this case, the VCA is built into the envelope. So I'm going to run the signal into the signal input here. I'm sorry, I'm going to go into the amplitude. I call that the second one only because that one is second, and in my mind it makes sense. Okay. Signal in, it's being triggered. And you can hear. And then, again, in normal idea, you would put a positive output going into the control input of, let's say, modulation here. And you're going to hear the modulation of the filter now. Because now this signal, the envelope signal, is modulating the filter. Okay, all that's well and good and pretty basic. We could use that. That's usable to me. I'd use that in my songs. Let's go and put a tracker in here from one of these LFOs to bring it in and out. So of course, this is the SEM LFO, and it goes the sloped output of the sine-looking wave. Or you could do the pulse width input if you listen to it. Lovely. Of course, if you get it slow enough, you can actually make it disappear because it modulates it so much that the pulse width is near zero. You can't hear it anymore. Okay, so that is modulating the pulse width. What happens if you were to go out of the sample hold output? Well, normally, I keep saying normally, but normally it's patched through. So the sample hold will actually put a signal in there if you trigger it from a clock. And when I trigger it from a clock, I'm going to pull this gate out into the multiple so that we can split the clock, which is the gate. And then put the gate output to trigger the input. And then we are, you can hear it how it gets random. With each key note, it's triggering the sample hold. Let's put that into the filter. Make a new sequence. You can hear it when the filter is down. That's sample holding the filter frequency. What if we didn't want the sample hold output? We want something crazy like white noise. This has a white noise output as well. That's white noise modulation of the filter. Neat, but probably better. I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to run the white noise output into the FM input of oscillator 1 and bring that up. This actually kind of brings some nature to it. Let's do this. So we've already heard this LFO. Let's listen to the original LFO doing something like pulse width or filter frequency input. Out of here and now into, again, this is the 1 volt per octave input. So let's go out of the Japanese modulation and in for the filter. then you'll hear quite quickly that you're not hearing anything because we haven't turned the triangle output up. And you can bend that wave to the right or to the left, or however you think of it, positively or negatively slew it. And of course, the other way was a square wave. So that's just a flip-flop, positive on, positive off. As it goes negative, the filter frequency goes negative. You can hear the wave shaping takes it. Okay, back into it. Let's get some crazy cross modulation going. You could send the pitch into the exponential glide, out of the glide, back into the pitch normal. So that is slewing via the glide, the pitch input. And you can hear it go all the way till it's not changing the sound really at all. Of course. Now I'm going to create some feedback loops. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to feed the second oscillator square wave out into the VCA's audio input that I said was there, signal input. Nothing's happening until we do VCA out back into the third input of the mixer. You can hear what it is. That's the signal. Now let's listen to something besides the low pass output, shall we? For example, the high pass. We can make the sound totally disappear. Or band pass. Or notch. Very fun. That notch is controlled by this shape right here, just like on the original Sims. You sweep from low pass to high pass. So let's put that LFO back in there. Earlier we patched an oscillator into here. Why don't we instead patch the low pass back out and put the signal from the notch back into there. Or create a true feedback loop with the inverted output over here, in case you need more distortion. Back to the sample hold. I'm a sucker for that sound right there. Filter modulation via the square wave. to me, this encompasses a full Oberheim modular SEM voice in a very nice package. There are different cases that you can get to it, and of course different colors. And of course you could, because this is Moog Unit, you can customize this and make it your own. He has configured this the way he likes it, but it's not necessarily everyone's cup of tea. It is my cup of tea because I like the idea of, first of all, it being pre-patched and normal, but also these two modulation sources are great to get things going and in a hurry. Love it, and I love that these things have all been brought together by the, like I said, honorary madman, and he has signed this one on the bottom, so I'm very happy to have the very first serial number 00000, and I hope this has been helpful. This is one of those synths that I will use quite a bit in tracks because it's got that punchy, raw Oberheim sound, and of course there's distortion here, distortion in the VCA, and distortion in the mixer section that you can't get with other synths. Thank you very much, and I hope you keep on synthing, Earthlings.